Mary Tudor, the most underrated queen in English history. Her role was big but silent in time because of the reign of her sister Elizabeth. This woman tried to bring England back to the faith, tried to make her parents proud of her, and only wanted to feel love from people her whole life. Today we will talk about Mary Tudor, or Queen Mary first, and how people made her a villain, but she never was. Before we start, I'll ask you to like this video if you enjoy England's history and can't stand injustice. Mary was born on February 18, 1516. Her father was Henry VIII, the second son of King Henry VII and Queen Elizabeth of York, and her mother was Catherine of Aragon, daughter of King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabel of Castile. Unlike Mary's half-siblings, she had strong royal blood, something that would later play in her favor. Mary was her father's and mother's first surviving child. Without a doubt, she was the pearl of her parents' world. Mary was named after the Virgin Mary because Catherine had a deep devotion to Catholicism, which would play a major role in Mary's life. Another version says her name came after her mother's sister Maria, Queen of Portugal, with whom Catherine shared a true sisterly bond. Mary's childhood wasn't very different from other princesses of the time. She had her place in the court and her duties, but unlike many, Mary was an heir. Her mother made sure she would have an excellent education equal to that of male heir. Mary was a precocious and bright child, excellent in music and languages. She was tutored in Latin, Greek, and other humanist studies. At a young age, Mary was betrothed first to the Dauphin of France, then to her cousin, the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. But none of these marriages worked out, leaving her hand free. In 1525, she was named Princess of Wales by her father and held court at Ludlow Castle, while new betrothal plans were made. But sadly, her life began to change after the Great Matter in 1527. Her father claimed that his marriage to Queen Catherine wasn't valid, that she had laid with his brother and that by church law she was his sister. Princess Mary, of course, supported her mother's claim as true wife and queen, so Henry separated them and Mary never saw her mother again. This separation led to Mary's deep stress and depression. After her father distanced himself from Rome and married Anne Boleyn, Mary was declared illegitimate. Now she was addressed as Lady Mary and was made to serve her half-sister, Princess Elizabeth. Lady Mary refused to call Elizabeth princess or sister. For her, Elizabeth was just another bastard of her father, like Henry Fitzroy. This angered Anne Boleyn, and some people say she ordered Lady Bryan, Elizabeth's governess, to treat Mary as a servant and even slap her on the ears. But in my opinion, this is fiction because there is no real evidence. I believe that Anne and Mary were rivals, how could they not be? But I lean towards the version told by Eric Ives, that the real unkindness Mary suffered came from Lady Shelton, Anne's aunt. Anne Boleyn, however, did try to build a bond with Mary, but Mary declined, and we can all understand why. Some historians like John Speed or Martin Hale say that before her execution, Queen Anne asked Lady Shelton to bring Mary a letter with her apologies, but there is no written evidence of this. Meanwhile, during all of this, Catherine of Aragon sadly passed away. Mary's heart was broken, but she didn't give up. She understood that her fate was her mother's gift, and she should carry it all her life. After Anne Boleyn's fall, Mary thought her father might be kinder to her, but he still wanted her to acknowledge him as head of the church. Even though Mary never wanted to do this, she finally agreed because her cousin persuaded her. Henry reconciled with her and restored her household, befitting her rank. He even made new marriage plans for her. During this time, Mary grew close to Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife, and they shared a true friendship. But this friendship didn't last long because Queen Jane died soon after giving birth to Prince Edward, and Mary mourned Jane the most, but also took big care of Edward, so he will remember his mother through Mary. With Anne of Cleves, Mary had a polite relationship. She wrote kind letters to her and treated her with respect, even when Anne was Protestant faith and Mary Catholic. Also, Mary invited Anne to her coronation. As Anne of Cleves' health declined in 1550s, Mary allowed her to live in Chelsea Old Manor. While having this good relationship with Henry's fourth wife, Mary didn't get along with Catherine Howard, the fifth wife. Some say they were rivals, but in chronics it seems that they just didn't talk to each other. After Queen Catherine was executed, came Catherine Parr, and first she and Mary built a friendship, but after Princess found out that they were different faiths, Mary started keep distance. But even after this, Catherine named her daughter from Thomas Seymour after Princess Mary. We talked about Mary's relationship with wives, but we didn't talk about her private life. Mary, despite her reserved reputation, could be charming in court. Ambassadors often wrote that she was polite, witty, and skilled in conversation. She could speak several languages, and this made her very popular with foreign visitors. Even when she was in disgrace, people admired her intelligence and manners, something that Elizabeth herself later inherited. As for friendships inside the Tudor family, her bond with Elizabeth was always complicated, but there were moments when Mary was protective. During Anne of Cleves' short marriage, for example, ambassadors noticed that Mary and Elizabeth dined together and showed each other kindness. Later, their rivalry grew, but in youth, Mary wasn't cruel to her sister. The distance came from politics, not personal hatred. One little known fact is that Mary enjoyed the company of scholars and churchmen who shared her love of learning and her devotion to Catholicism. While her father was alive, she secretly kept contact with priests who refused Henry's reforms, and she often asked them for spiritual advice. These friendships were dangerous because if discovered, they could ruin her. Yet Mary was willing to take the risk. This shows her courage. She was never afraid to stand alone for her faith. At the same time, Mary knew how to play her role in courtly life. She danced, played music, and joined in masques, just like the other noble women. Even when she was humiliated by being forced to serve Elizabeth, she kept her dignity. People noticed that Mary carried herself like a queen long before she ever wore the crown. She was adored by people of England because of her religion, mother, who was the only true queen in people's heads, and her talent of speaking. When her brother Edward became king, Mary had to confront more people like Lord Seymour or Lord Protector because of her faith, and when her brother was dying, more people at the court wanted to push Mary and Elizabeth from line of succession, and they did by putting Lady Jane Grey on the throne, but it didn't last. Princess took her rightful crown and became the first crowned woman in English history, Queen Mary I. England celebrated the day of her coronation. She was beloved and rightful. During her reign, Mary showed surprisingly mercy at first. When she captured Jane Grey, she didn't want to execute her. Mary actually spared her life. Only after Wyatt's rebellion, when Jane's family tried to use her again, Mary agreed to Jane's execution. It shows that Mary wasn't naturally cruel. She was cautious, but she couldn't not allow rebellion to grow. After execution of Jane, she made Catherine Grey her maid, and maybe you think that she was horrible to her, but no, Mary and Catherine actually had a friendship, while Elizabeth and Catherine will have a problem with each other in future. Mary also worked hard to restore Catholicism, but she did it step by step. She first restored the Latin Mass, then reconciled with the Pope, bringing England back to Rome. What is often forgotten is that ordinary people welcomed this change at first. Many were happy to see the old faith return, the familiar rituals, the images in church. Another fact that Mary loved pageantry and public ceremony. She knew she had to show herself to the people. She traveled through London often, dressed richly, and allowed crowds to see her. Unlike her father, who grew distant in his later years, Mary understood that a queen's image mattered. But sadly, while people loved Mary, her husband didn't. Queen had 2 phantom pregnancies, and in the last one it turned out to be disease. Then Philip left her with no care. Mary's heart was broken. We of course don't forget about the part when Mary burned people, and that's horrible. But also her father and sister did the same, but no one gave attention to it. When Mary laid on her deathbed, most of her council wanted her to sign a paper of Elizabeth's execution, But she couldn't. Even when through years sister had tense relationship, Mary still couldn't kill her little sister. That gives us knowledge about Queen's loving heart to her family and others. So in the end we understand that Queen Mary I was a person just like others, with her struggles, broken heart, happiness, sorrow and faith. She was mostly accused of being a monster, but in reality she was misunderstood and abandoned. Of course it doesn't justify her martyrs, but we now understand why she did it. She was a queen, torn between duty and desire, faith and fear, and in that conflict she became both victim and villain. History remembers her as Bloody Mary, yet behind that name was a woman longing for love, stability, and acceptance. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments about Queen Mary. How do you feel about this person, and do you agree with my point? Anyway, see you later guys. Bye.